Okay, what's up, guys? Something super cool just happened, actually. I'm going to pull over real quick, like, if I can, and get a picture. I just hit, I don't know if the camera can pick it up, 10,000 miles. Freaking 10K on this bike. Super awesome. So, of course, guess what I'm about to talk about? 10,000 mile review on the 2017 Ninja 1000. So I'm gonna do like I did in my 5,000 mile review. At least I think that's what I did. I don't know. I don't go back and watch my old stuff. Who does that? Who spends, I don't know, 2 hours at work looking at their own old videos? Certainly not this guy. But anywho, so let's start from front to back. The design of this bike is still like super awesome to me. You know what? I'm gonna whip in here. The design of this bike is crazy. Like, to me, it reminded me of the bikes I used to see growing up, like in the Japanese anime movies and stuff like that. It looks super futuristic, and it's really cool. It's got some really nice beveled and sharp edges on it, and you know, for a motorcycle, it's pretty sexy. So it's got really good headlights. Let me get this picture here. And of course, I'm also going to do put in this video a walk around of it. I was going to go take it home and then make it all pretty and clean it up, but I figured, you know what, whatever. I'm going to catch my bike in its natural state, which is dirty or dusty. I keep my bike pretty clean, but I ride the crap out of this bike. I love this bike, so I figure might as well catch it how it normally is, ridden. So the wheels are dusty, the bike's dusty, it's been out, it's got pollen on over it, but it's still an awesome bike. So, like I said, front to back, it's got some really good headlights. They're very bright. The LEDs and the high beams work exceptionally well. Disc brakes also work exceptionally well. This bike has to stop about 700 pounds for moving in a fairly reasonable amount of time. The bike itself is almost 500 pounds. I am about 200 something pounds, so 700 pounds to bring to a stop on 3 brakes, 2 in the front disc, 1 in the rear. It's pretty good. They are double H centered brakes, which means basically in layman's terms, really hard brakes with really good stopping power. They're not soft material. They don't break away very easily. They're what you would use on a super bike, a sport bike, 1000cc bike, which this is. It is definitely a sport bike. It has sport touring amenities with sport bike privileges, if you will. So it definitely won't beat a Busa or keep up with a lot of GSXRs or something like that. I mean, it's limited actually. It could go, I forget what the maximum speed is, but they limited it to about 150-ish, but I'm not in it for the speed, I'm in it for the ride, and this thing is super comfy. So moving from front to rear, I did replace the tires, but the tires on this bike and the previous tires on this bike and the way the tires are engineered, this bike is super good in curves, super good in highway riding, which I do a lot of, hence this here windscreen. It's got 3 modes. One is the very top, which I use 99% of the time that I'm riding, because I do a lot of highway riding, a lot of fast speed surface road riding, and it just takes the wind up and over my helmet. It's got like a semi-sexy mode where it comes down, and it's got a super sexy mode, which makes it look like its brother in arms, the ZX-10, just a little bit. It makes a little more aggressive profile, but it also blasts the wind straight to your neck and chest area. I mean, it's good for days where you really want to get a little more airflow across you, but it does give you a lot of buffeting and head movement. Kind of uncomfortable ride if you're out for a long time. So 5.1 gallon gas tank, I believe. I always forget, it's about a 5 gallon gas tank. It's nice and wide. The edges around it are nice and smooth. With the addition of the tech spec pads, I don't slip around a lot, but it's wide. I don't have to squeeze my legs together in order to maintain the grip on this bike, which is super good because I use my legs a lot now. As a beginner rider, I use my hands a lot. I felt a lot of hand numbness, and then when I got more experience and, you know, took some courses, took the advanced rider's course, and just refer to my other video, had more seat time. Actually, I practiced and read some articles, read some books, watched some videos about how you use your legs more, and over the last couple years I've really come to appreciate being able to grip my tank with my legs, because my hands have the weight off of them. I don't cramp up as much. They don't go numb. They don't go tingly. And I maintain a really good positive control over the bike because I'm able to lift my hands off. I'm not using the handlebars as a support. I'm just holding them to help guide the bike. So this tank helps a lot with that. I don't have to do a super squeeze where I'm like giving it the anaconda because that would make for a very uncomfortable ride. It probably hurt my junk, to be honest, which nobody wants the junk hurt. So moving from the tank to the seat is still as comfy as it was on day one. It hasn't become super mushy. I thought that was what was going to happen over time because it was fairly stiff when you get it. It's brand new, but it's maintained its rigidity without compromising. It's pretty much perfect now, and it's slightly wider than my two 650s were. It's more in tune with my 13 650. My 06 650 had a very long seat, a single piece seat. This one's got a separated front driver's seat and passenger seat, but it's got a nice little cup right at your rear that helps you sit in a more aggressive stance that this bike has. It's not super aggressive, but it's very tuck friendly. Like on a super sport, the regular sport bikes, you're pretty much almost always in the tuck-ish position. This one allows me to sit up more upright, but it's very much more aggressive than my 650s were. Well, not very much. It's slightly more aggressive. Not too much where it affects your riding, but enough to where I noticed that I'm like, hey, this one's a little bit more aggressive, but it still allows me to get my good Lion King posture up so I can sit up and see what's going on if I want to, then I can get down and tuck when I need to if I'm trying to catch an R6 or my buddy's Z1000, which somehow was faster than mine, but whatever, Gixxer, suck. So, the seat's super comfy. I have unfortunately put 10,000 miles on this bike, and I have put 10,000 miles on my grips. These were everything on the bike, all the mods I did in one night because I'm crazy. So I do probably need to replace these because they've been subject to these bear claws, and sometimes, like I said, my first ride or bike jitters video, I grip a little too hard, and I've probably worn these down, and you know, trying to attempt wheelies on this bike, sometimes I do grip too hard, which I should not do. And but luckily for me and this bike, she's received a much better treatment than my original Ninja 1000. May she rest in peace. So onto the rear of the bike, the taillight LED is very bright, it's very visible. Walked behind my bike at night just to see. Oh God, I'm burping. I cover my mouth in the helmet, but at least you know I got manners. So I've walked behind my bike. I've initiated the brake light just to see what a person behind me would see, and it's not subtle. It's not overbearing, but it allows me to be seen, and it's got enough surface area across the back of the bike. Like some sport bikes have a tiny little strip or a tiny little nub, and some riders do that on purpose. Do not do that. You need to be seen. You know, loud pipe save lives movement. I'm not getting in that argument. I'm for it, but it's not always the case. You need to be seen as well. So if you take away your brake light, people don't know you're stopping. You know, some people have a hard time tracking moving objects. Just saying. So front to back, the suspension. Oh, forgot to adjust that or address that because I can adjust that very easily. The suspension on this bike is easily adjusted with the two knobs here on the triple tree. You slap a flat head in there and you twist to your heart's desire, or until you properly adjust your suspension for rebound damping and the like. So this is Michigan. Our potholes have potholes. So at first I had it a little too loose. I was getting a lot of bouncy in the front. In the rear, I am okay with it being loose. Not my rear, the bike's rear, because I didn't want all of that shock from those potholes transferring up into the old cheeks. So I kind of loosened the suspension in the rear and tightened the suspension in the front because I didn't want my bike to become unsettled. It makes me uneasy. I don't like the feeling of it, and if you're uneasy on the bike, it translates into how you ride the bike, control the bike. I'm not saying it can end up dangerous, but it can end up dangerous. So I kind of stiffened the front forks a little bit with their rebound damping, and it is so much better. I still feel the potholes, but that transfer doesn't go up into my arms. And now that I said I've relaxed my arms and my riding position and my grip, if you got tight arms, those bumps translate to your throttle hand, and you get jerky throttle. This bike is, well, I'll go ahead and talk through this yellow light. This bike is very responsive, but it's also very preventative if you have a jerky throttle hand due to the Kawasaki intelligent braking system and its traction control, but it's still a 1000cc bike. It can get away from you. So, due to that fact, it makes you a little dependent on the rider aids that this bike has, so I ride with them off for the most part, but you can't completely shut it off. And that's another thing, it led me to believe that my brakes were getting squishy, but what happens is the bike compensates for your brake pressure because it's Super Magic Smart Bike. It doesn't allow you to apply full pressure in situations where it thinks or senses that you don't need to, keeping you from low siding, high siding, washing out, period. So some days I feel like, hey, my brakes are gripping, they're freaking awesome. Some days I'm like, man, what is going on? I can't stop my bike. The bike, the KIB system was deciding for me that the situation I was trying to stop in was not optimal for maximum brake pressure because it has an ABS system. So it was kind of doing its pulsating thing, which I was still kind of not used to. But that's pretty cool. I've never had a bike with ABS, and you know, it's kind of hot sauce right there. I like it. I have one issue with this bike so far. Well, two. The console, the LCD display, is a little hard to see in the sun sometimes. It is perfect at night. It is not overbearing. It doesn't draw too much attention away from the road. It doesn't create a glare in my visor or anything. That's awesome. Daylight, not so much. Maybe they need a ROM flash or something I can download and put on there. I can send it away and get the color changed, but I don't want to deal with all that crap. So, the other issue I have that I found out over 2 years now I've had this bike, is that sometimes at certain speeds, at certain angles, the wind blows, I'll get either, I don't know what it is yet, it's either a fairing whistle or a cooling fan whistle where it just makes some crazy noise. It sounds almost exactly like my horn, so I thought my horn was shorting out, but I would press the horn and the horn would initiate, so I'm like, well, it ain't the damn horn, it's some other noise coming from the bike. Old dude with a cigarette. So I have to figure out what that is. Other than that, man, this thing rides beautifully. It's a much better bike than I am a rider for it, and I think that's pretty awesome because I'm not going to get bored, as a lot of riders say, which is not a thing. If you get bored with your bike, you need to reevaluate your riding skill. That's not a shot against you, unless you take it that way because you know you suck. But it's an awesome bike. It is very powerful. It is to be respected. But if you're trying to move up to the 1000cc class, you don't want to go with some of those other super sport bikes, which I have nothing against. They're pretty awesome. I just like the way this bike looks. I'm a Ninja fanboy, always have been. But I'm not adverse to ride another one. If one of you guys want to give me another bike, I'll take it. But this is super comfy. It allows for me to ride all day if I wanted to. A lot of my buddies, they're done after a couple hours, and I'm like, you know, I could go for more. So if you're an all-day rider that's not necessarily an adventure rider and don't want to move to full touring and you like the look of a sport bike, one of these puppies is the way to go. Maybe also an FZ6R if they still make those. I'm not sure if they changed the name or not. Or MT10 is very, very good, but it's a naked bike. I do like the fairings. Just like my buddy Z1000, his bike is pretty awesome. It's my little twin brother, but I do like the faired bikes better. Well, I think that's all I can cover for this bike. This is a normal guy review. It's not a super technical bike mechanic and, you know, technical expert review. It's just me as a normal dude who rides his bike every day that I can and hasn't lost his luster at all. It's freaking awesome. And if you were ever in the market to get a Ninja 1000, I hope this helps you decide. Also, I used to have the only one, well, only two of these technically. One of my Instagram followers hit me up the other day and said, hey man, I thought I saw your bike stopped the other day. And I was like, nope, wasn't me. It must have been somebody with a bike exactly like yours. So I'm kind of upset that I'm no longer special, but I'm special to me, so that's all that matters. Head on the swivel, folks, even though I'm yapping. That was almost bad. I don't know what's up with that dude. There was no car for him to get around, so I don't know what was up with that. So anywho, there's another dude with my bike. So if you're out there watching this video, man, I was first. Remember that. Catch you guys later.